Canndid Football, and today we will be reviewing Ghana's game against Panama, and at the same time previewing Ghana's game against England. Here with me, I have please kindly introduce yourself to our.
Hi, my name is Chris name. I'm basically a football analyst and a gamer.
Okay, sure. So, Kwesi, I'm very sure you watched the Ghana Panama game. So, before we get into anything, I want to get your take on the whole game. How did you?
Well, ideally, in my opinion, it was an alright game. Like in general, it was an alright game. It was a little boring in the beginning because there wasn't much action. Most of the football was concentrated in the wide areas. Panama, even though they were on the front foot most of the time, they barely created anything. And Ghana, on the other hand, didn't really come into the game, especially in the first half, to actually create anything. I think the main idea they came in with was to just soak pressure and then maybe try to break on the counter. Unfortunately, with the players they set up with, I don't think they really planned that well because looking at the starting front line, which was Jordan Ayew and then Enes and then Kamaldeen together with Semenyo, on paper it looked like it was going to be an all right attack on the break, but on the field, it didn't look very cohesive, especially when the attack went through Jordan Ayew. I don't know why, but anytime there seemed to be a counter attack or there seemed to be a build up, he holds the ball for too long rather than release. There were several occasions where he could have just gone with a 1-2 or something, but unfortunately he didn't go. Maybe it was all part of the game plan, but yeah. So like I said earlier, the first half was kind of boring. The second half picked up, but unfortunately, the water break also kind of messed up the momentum, and then it went back to being boring again until the last 10 minutes, which was kind of very action packed. So, in general, I would say it was kind of an alright game. Not the best, but not the worst either.
Person? Okay, so for me to, um, you know, for example, Hansi Flick, the Zavis, we all coin a name for the type of football they play. For example, Flick ball, what's not. I think with Carlos Queiroz, his name wouldn't be attached to the style of football he plays, but there's a particular word he has been repeating continuously, and I think that's what I will use to describe the kind of football he plays. And I will call it Sufferball because he keeps on talking about let's suffer together. And for me particularly, when the game was going on, I got a message from a friend telling me about the fact that Masa, what is going on? I told the person that relax, once the team hasn't conceded, we are still in the game. And I think the first half was the way it was because Ghana came to sit back, and then when I listened to Carlos Queiroz comments after the game, he was like, contain them, look at the problems they will be causing, and gradually ease into the game, and then you gain control. So it was a bit because Ghana came with that mindset, and also a bit because the team hadn't been together for a long enough time, and so they were a bit jittery, and we had the game that we had. Anyway,
Well, I think talking about the Sufferball thing, I think in a way, if I'm going to look at the Wales game to the Wales friendly before the World Cup too, I think Ghana played similarly, where they basically defended throughout the whole first half and then changed the plan in the second half. I think, just like you said, that might be how Carlos Queiroz is actually approaching some of the games now. I think I've only seen him for 2 games, and it's actually been the same kind of strategy. I'm just looking forward to what he does in the next game anyway.
okay, okay. But who were your standout performers in that game against Panama?
Well, so first of all, I think I would mention Jonas Ajeti. Actually, I've not really seen much of him, but the recent or the past matches I watched of him recently was not that good. And in this particular match, he did so well. He actually proved me wrong because I had my doubts about him. I didn't think he was that good going into the match, but he did very well. And then
Okay,
aside from him, I would say Caleb Yirenkyi was also okay. To me, he wasn't like outstanding, like extremely good like that. He was okay. He had a very good game, but there's more room for improvements on his side, especially during build up when he has the ball. I think he has a lot more to offer when we are in transition. But aside the two of them, uh, I think most of them really disappointed me. And also, Isaku did well when he came on too. He was passing in between the lines. Before him, nobody was actually trying that. Everybody was just trying to pass safe. And then also. Asante was also quite good. He was very direct. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, my standout performance will be at least again in the first half, even though it wasn't very comfortable. And Caleb Yirenkyi, mainly because he got a yellow card very early in the game. So as I was watching it, I was wondering if he would be able to go about his business and not get a red card. And he handled that maturely. And I think the technical team also took a gamble team by leaving him on, but it was a risk that paid off. And when it comes to Caleb Yirenkyi, one of the things that excites me about his play is that he always follows the sequences through. If you remember the game against Wales, on the ball in the midfield, and then Myanmar was on the run. He could have just stood and allowed Myanmar to go, but he followed through. And after Myanmar took the shot, he was there to score that goal. And eventually, the goal he scored was because he followed through sequence. And imagine playing a game up to the 90th minute and still running after the ball. So he also impressed me. And Brandon Thomas Asante. Um, when he came on and with that particular goal, look at the composure to remain calm and actually pick the right pass. So these were the people, and then the center back pairing. Well, anyway, so the after the match, one of the issues that was a talking point was Jordan Ayew. What do you think will be his role in this Black Stars? Because the consensus was that he slows down the game. And if you look at the current Ghana team, their strength is transition and transiting. You don't transition slowly. What are your thoughts on Jordan Ayew?
So ideally, Jordan Ayew is not a very bad player like people make it sound like. Jordan is a very, very good player. Um, the only thing I have, or the only problem I have with him is he should actually know when to release the ball fast and then when to hold on to the ball. And one thing I'm not really worried about much is watching the match again. I feel like Jordan playing like that was also a tactical decision. He was just there to hold the ball and then try to ease pressure, keep possession, and then maybe pass it backwards just to keep possession. The disadvantage to that is there were situations where Ghana could have been open on goal or had a better chance just with a one touch from Jordan, or maybe a simple 1-2 or a simple passing goal. But then he still held on to the ball and then dwelled on it, looking for fouls or trying to hold on possession. I could count about 2 or 3 moments like that. And that is where I have a problem. Understand? Even though it could be the tactical decision just for him to hold the ball and ease pressure and everything, there are moments where he could have just released the ball quicker and then would have been on business. But then, anyways, like I said, it could be the tactical decision from the coach, especially since he was on the pitch for so long. But going forward, I think matches where he should rather be used as an impact sub, because looking at the match against England like this, I think Ghana would do better trying to go for the counter attack than actually trying to hold possession or anything. And in that situation, Jordan Ayew might not really help unless maybe he'll be given different instructions and then he wouldn't do exactly that. But I don't think he would change his style of play, because even at Leicester City, he does the same thing. I've seen Leicester fans calling him the tortoise or the turtle or something like that, just because of the way he plays. And I think he's just like that, and he's not going to change. It's kind of unfortunate, because looking at his experience and the level of football he has played in his career, I was expecting him to do better in most situations, but it's just what it is.
Okay, so for me personally, in my using my lineup to face Panama, I wouldn't have had Jordan. I think he's past it. And He's also the most experienced player. I think he can be used when we have a lead and then we want to waste time. But since this team's strength relies on transition play, since he has decided for several years to keep on slowing down games, I think he wouldn't be a best fit for the transition play we want to play. And if you could look at the team was almost liberated the moment he left. And Semenyo became a different player after Jordan left because of the people around him. The fact that it was just pass and go, pass and go. Whereas when Jordan was around, and there was even a sequence where Semenyo passed the ball to Jordan and made a run. But Jordan managed to dribble himself into a cul-de-sac and lost possession. Anyway, so the the defensive concerns in this team, since Carlos Queiroz took over, we've been able to reduce the amount of goals we've been conceding. In 2 matches, we've conceded one. And all these times, I was watching the games, hoping we can keep a clean sheet. And we managed to actually keep a clean sheet, but it still wasn't very convincing because the last set piece where we were under attack, the Panamanians had two headers in our box. If they were very good, they could have equalized. What do you think about the team's defensive plan?
Well, I think in all, it was a good defensive display. I think with the example you cited on the set piece, looking at the time and the moment in which it happened, it was kind of expected. So it's not really something that I was actually surprised about. But then again, if it was against a good opponent, maybe it might have been a different story. Maybe they could have equalized. Yeah, so probably the technical team would need to work on the set pieces, especially on the defensive side. Because on the offensive side of the set piece, I think they have a very good plan. They connected about almost all of them, if I remember correctly. It was just quite unfortunate they couldn't capitalize on the chances and score. But defensively, in general, it was okay. The pairing between Jerome and then Jonas was kind of okay. I still have my reservations about them anyways, but from what I saw against Panama, it was okay. But then again, like I said, I have my reservations because it was Panama. You can't compare, with all respect to Panama, we can't compare their attack to the likes of England and even Croatia. You understand? So I'm just hoping to see the same kind of display against England because looking at the likes of Harry Kane and the other attackers they have, I'm just hoping it goes the same way.
Okay, so you made mention about the set piece, and I think that is one of the strengths of this Ghana team, mainly because we have very tall defenders. And in the match against Panama, Adete should have at least scored a goal. And going forward, I think it's something we should look at because if one set piece could result in a goal, then it could really help us going forward. The coach made a statement about the fact that wins are very expensive in this World Cup, and when you look at the number of draws being played in this World Cup, and the fact that a third place team could potentially qualify, it makes so much sense. Now let's move to the England game. Um, if you were Carlos Queiroz, which starting 11 will you go with, and which strategy do you
Well, personally, I would go into the game with almost the same setup. But this time around, I wouldn't start Jordan Ayew because I would be looking forward to catch England on the break. Sorry. Looking at the kind of players England have, and my main concern is Harry Kane, not because of his goal scoring threat alone, but the way he plays. Harry Kane is somebody who drops in very deep. And looking at the way Ghana is defending, it might cause a lot of problems. So it's something that has to be looked at. And then looking at the kind of players we have on the attack, I think for the first half, I would rather start Fatau over Nyama, and then I will change Jordan for either Iñaki Williams or Brandon Asante. Aside that, I'll keep the rest of the players the same. My only concern right now is it seems we don't have enough midfielders. I don't know how it happened, but we have so many attackers, like forward playing players, as compared to midfielders. I can only count about four, aside Kwesi Sibo and then Elisha Usu, Yirenkyi and Party. I don't know. I don't recall seeing any other midfielder, and it's quite unfortunate. The defensive midfielders we have are all not good enough. Elisha Usu is not all that good from what I saw in the first game, and then Sibo is also not. I don't know. Maybe he's just not very confident or something, but he's not been very, very impressive. He looks shaky. He looks kind of I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but he doesn't look confident on the ball. He's always rushing to pass the ball and making reckless tackles and everything. But then again, yeah, like I said, that would be my starting lineup for that game. Same thing, except Enes Nyama and then Jordan, or Fatau and then Brandon Asante or Iñaki Williams.
Okay. So for me, I would, because of how the English team plays, and you rightly pointed out the fact that Kane drops deep. And when he drops deep, essentially he has increased the number of midfield players they have because sometimes he can act as a midfielder. And I said, for me, I think any tactic where the midfield isn't having a lot of players, we'll be in trouble. So if it were me, I would have played a 3-5-2, and then bring in our best defender, who we are currently not playing, to add up to the numbers, and then I'll play a 3-man midfield of Partey, Bo, and then Yirenkyi. And I'll bench Jordan and play probably Ishaku or Botuba. And yeah, so that will be how I will approach the game. And Shadrach, will you play Partey? Because there are concerns about the fact that his legs are not as they used to be. And he's not sharp. If you watch the game against Wolves, he could see what was happening, but his body, his reaction time, and he went into some tackles that if it were a competitive match, he would have seen a red card. So how will you handle Partey if going into the English game, will you start him if you were coach?
Well, with Partey, I think it's mostly about other issues. I don't think his problem has to do with ability or whatever. I think looking at all the news around him and everything, it's all playing some kind of role in his performance in the Wales game. Personally, I think he has the experience and then the technical ability to play well in the England match. Ideally, he's our most experienced midfielder in the team at the moment, right? But it's quite unfortunate. Like I pointed out earlier, we don't have enough midfielders. If we had, probably we could go with a 3-man midfield, like you said, and then allow him more freedom and ease him off a lot of defensive duties and everything. But it's quite unfortunate we don't have enough midfielders to complement him. But then I believe he has the experience and the technical ability to actually do very well in the England game.
About the midfield issue, we have midfielders too. There is Sulemana, Ibrahim Sulemana. I don't know why he wasn't called. And I think that the technical team could have sacrificed Serenga for another midfield. But anyway.
Yes, there are lots of wingers who are not even going to touch the ball. Actually, there are lots of attackers in this squad, which I don't know the reason behind. But anyways.
Anyway, so moving forward, what will be your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Personally, I think it's more likely to end up in an England win. But being a Ghanaian, I'm going for a Ghana win by 2-1.
Okay. So the objective side of you thinks the English will win, but the patriotic side of you is rooting for Ghana to win 2-1. Personally, I will take a draw. I'm not very
a draw would be a very good result for Ghana anyways. I think if Ghana draws this match, it's very likely they would qualify. The worst case scenario in that situation would be as a third place team, because I think 8 third place teams would qualify. Only 4 would not make it, right? So getting 4 points, looking at the way the tournament is going, it will be a very good position for Ghana to be in at that moment. So a draw would be fine.
Okay, so thank you, listeners. Catch us another time after the Ghana English game. Out.